Hello, hello, hello. It's Kiana. Back with another episode of PTSDiaries. Hey, y'all. So, I'm going to teach you a chant about my name. I am a poet, if you didn't know. Poet, writer, actress, among other things. So, when I perform, when I get on stage, I like to start with a chant. I like to say, if you don't remember anything, I want you to remember my name. So, let's do that. Kiana. 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 What? Kiana. 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 And of course, I do it 3 times just because bad things come in threes, but this good thing comes in threes, okay? So on this episode of PTSDiaries, I have a few stories to share. The first story that I'll share is kind of a traumatic experience, but it was a learning lesson. And it is the reason behind me being on a vegan journey and a vegetarian journey. So once again, if you don't know, I am a vegetarian. I do not eat meat or dairy or eggs. Meat, dairy, or eggs. So the thing that led me to pursue this journey and to embark on a plant-based journey, I lost my phone shaking ass out west. And that is the reason why I'm a vegetarian. I know that doesn't make sense. Why did you stop eating meat? Because you lost your phone shaking ass out west? Because it made me more conscious of the things that I put in my body. I was out one night in uncharted territories. I don't go out west. I'm from Chicago, and we're not gonna start that South Side, West Side thing. But if you're a South Sider, you don't really dwell out west. So, but I was out drunk, and this night I embarked. Well, prior to this event, I told myself that I was going to fast, I was going to cleanse, I wasn't going to drink, and I ended up drinking that night, and I got so drunk that I wasn't aware of my surroundings, and I left my phone. There were also other things in play. I just became more mindful of the things that I put in my body and just more receptive of my temple. Also, it made me take fast more seriously. So I lost my phone shaking ass out west because I was so drunk and inebriated by things. And I was without my phone. So after that, I, started fasting more intentionally. I was without my phone for a month. So it disconnected me from society, from social media. I still had a device, like a little tablet or whatever, but I wasn't able to access my money. I wasn't able to call people the way that I wanted to, and it really just made me focus on the necessities. I was still able to get to work on time. I was still thriving, and I also lost a lot of weight when I first embarked on this journey. So I lost my phone shaking ass out west, and it just woke me up a lot because we're attached to our phones, and I had nothing to be attached to. I felt lost, but at the same time, I gained a lot of mental clarity while being disconnected. I went on a fruit fast. I was drinking nothing but coconut water and cucumbers. Also, that's a good tip. If you don't like the taste of coconut water, just drop some cucumbers in there. That also alkalizes it, alkaline diet and things like that. Also, if you meal better, you feel better. So, although I was without my phone, and then an extra week, I ordered a phone online, and when it came, I ordered it the wrong way. So it didn't attach to my current phone line. So I actually added a phone line. So I had to end up sending that phone back. So I was without a phone for an extra week after that. But yeah. I was also embarking in other things, like it was other things in play. I'm saying it without saying it, if you get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I used to go to Xavier University. If you know, you know. Also, I was by myself. And even though I didn't have my phone, I continued the night because I was drinking, and it made me not care about not having a phone and not knowing how I was going to get home. So it just made me rethink what I valued and what I do in my spare time. So yeah, be careful when you out west shaking ass, because things happen. So this is PTSDiaries, and I will be sharing stories about past traumatic situations. So PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, but did you know that there is a such thing as post-traumatic relationship syndrome, a form of traumatic stress caused by abusive or unhealthy relationships? It is the occurrence of being impacted by the trauma of a relationship. And if you don't know, I defined trauma. I defined trauma in the last episode. Trauma is a deeply stressing or disturbing experience. And trauma is an emotional shock following a stressful event or physical injury. Okay? So my post-traumatic relationship syndrome came from a past relationship. Also, I want to say in this episode that anything that is talked about is not to bash anybody, not to expose anybody, or it's not about anybody else. It's about how things affected me. So post-traumatic relationship syndrome carried from a relationship when I had a live-in boyfriend, when we were living together. This relationship became toxic, abusive, physically and verbally. So another thing that occurred in this relationship, I found out that my boyfriend was talking to a transsexual. And this was very stressing to me because, of course, I'm a woman and I was in a relationship with a man, and to find out that he was, talking to someone who was born a man, this hit me hard in ways that I did not understand, and it affected relationships moving forward. It created a lot of self-doubt, and yeah, it was a really big shock, and it made me feel like I didn't know the person who I was sleeping next to every single night. So I'm going to tell you the story about how I found out. Also, in this story, in this video, names will either not be used or fake names will be used. So my boyfriend at the time, when this all hit, I was at home by myself. It was an off day. And I got a ping on Facebook. Everything unfolds on Facebook. Facebook is crazy. So somebody had commented on a picture of ours that we had together. Like, I had posted pictures of us. And the person, I'll call her Candy. Also, for the purposes of this video and to respect the way that people identify, they identify as a woman. This other person, the person that my boyfriend stepped out with. So for the purposes of this video, when I say he, I'm talking about my ex-boyfriend. Or, when I say boyfriend, I'm talking about him. When I say she, her, I am talking about the other woman, the person that they stepped out with. So I checked my Facebook notifications, and we're gonna call her Candy. Candy commented on a picture of ours and said, "Hey, tell your girlfriend that you're gay." And she commented on a few of our posts, and I proceeded to go back and forth a little bit, just from a defensive standpoint, because how are you gonna say this? How do you know this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just automatically defensive and defending and protecting my relationship at the time and my reputation. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. That's the way that I approached it. Also, she told me to check, she told me that she had receipts, so she told me to check my messenger, and lo and behold, there was a message request with a few screenshots and things like that. This was a couple of years ago. We're in 2025 right now. This happened about 5 years ago, and it has taken me this long to talk about it. But I do understand that this is a very prevalent issue. A lot of people can be unsure about their sexuality, and people die about their sexuality. So I began to message Candy. They sent screenshots, we had conversations, and this girl sent me a picture of my own address. So I knew it was real. You know what I'm saying? She sent screenshots, and they had been talking for several months. Another thing about this situation, she sent me her number. We were talking on the phone, and the same phone number that she was calling and contacting me from, I saw the same phone number in my boyfriend's phone. So I knew that it was real. I saw this phone number in his phone like maybe months or weeks prior, and I saw a message on his phone, and it said, "Oh, but you're the one that has a girlfriend." And I saw it in, like, as a notification on his phone. When I went through his phone to go and try to find it, of course he had deleted it. So, man. Also, when I confronted my boyfriend, at first he was completely defensive. He denied it by all means. He tried to blame somebody else and say that somebody else was using his phone. He tried to blame it on like one of his family members, saying that, oh, such and such was using my phone and they think that I'm him. But the person, Candy, like I said, she sent me my own address. She told me that she had been to my house before, and when we were first being combative to one another, she told me, like, yeah, I can come ring your doorbell right now. And I was at home. This is my off day. I was going through a frenzy. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to say. I kept this to myself for a long time out of shame. As a woman in a relationship, I think it's natural for us to, kind of question ourselves in a way, in the sense of, like, number one, how did I not know? Were there signs? And looking back on it, maybe yes, maybe no, but at the same time, like, he was a person that when things of homosexuality came up, he was just completely, like, dismissive, like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, which can, looking back on it, just be a cover up. But back to the story. So one of the most traumatic things about this interaction, because this unfolded over the span of about a whole day. When I first found this Facebook notification, it was at like 9-10 o'clock in the morning. So Candy felt some type of way because maybe he tried to cut off the relationship. But this was after they had already, like, kind of did something, that was also the traumatic part, because, like, what does that even mean? But the most traumatic part about this is I was having a conversation with my boyfriend at the time, and we were on the phone. He was like, I don't know what's going on. He was at work. He was not at home. I don't know what's going on, and they're tripping and da-da-da-da. I get off the phone with him. I get on the phone with Candy, and we play a little game of telephone. We're on the phone. She calls my boyfriend, and I'm on the other line, muted. And when I tell you, when she called him, he was a totally different person, and he was pleading with her not to tell me. That's how I knew that it was true. Because, like, his tone of voice changed. She's like, no, we'll talk later. We'll talk when she leaves. Also, at the time I did security, I was working overnights. That was another thing too. Like, I already had a feeling that, me working overnights, he could kind of do whatever he wanted to when I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? I was aware of those possibilities, and maybe I was in denial about it. But also, I didn't know the severity of it. Like, cheating is one thing, but this was unmatched. He was pleading with her not to tell me, and then he was also trying to make a deal like, no, we'll talk when she goes to work, when she leaves, we'll deal with this later. No, please. And yeah, I'm kind of getting emotional talking about it. I'm not gonna cry or anything, but I've also done a lot of work to work through this incident. But once again, it has affected relationships moving forward. I feel like my trust is like almost non-existent because of that, because like things like that, I don't really put it past anybody, you know. So yeah, but he continued to deny it, and then once he found out that I knew, he left work, and I couldn't face him, so I left the house. I went to a family member's house. I didn't come home. He wanted to talk about it, and it was just a lot of things that were going on. And he was also like, because I don't want to bash him or Candy, you know what I'm saying? I am completely accepting of other people's sexuality and things like that, but when you're in a relationship with somebody, then you know what I'm saying, like you should be open about that with your partner, especially your kinks and things like that. So but eventually Candy was understanding. She and apparently this wasn't the first time that she has dealt with things like that, so she was used to or had dealt with several men who had girlfriends and were kind of living a DL lifestyle, which I understand that is, you know, that is a real thing in today's day and age. Just because men are not open about sharing their sexuality, because society is mean. Social media is mean, especially to gay men. You would think that it would be okay, you know what I'm saying? It's just, and it's not even the women who are mean about it, it's other men. Like, I feel like he wouldn't have felt accepted. He obviously wasn't comfortable being himself. So I still wish him the best in that situation. Yeah. But one thing that I had to tell myself and to get over this, like, this is not my fault, because I used to think like one of the things that came across my mind was, is this karma for something? Is this, you know, like, but this could never be my karma, because this is who this person is. So he would have done that whether he was with me or not, you know. And yeah, there's no way that I could really blame myself for that. It was just a learning lesson. And I just really thought that I knew this person. We were friends before we were in a relationship. So I thought that would have meant that we would have been able to communicate these things to each other. And also with this relationship, it was also slightly abusive. So it was just mind fucking altogether. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I found out. We ended up being on three-way. And then when he found out that I knew, he left work. Like, he walked out of his job, but I couldn't face him for a while. And then also after this situation, I believe that I coped in a way of kind of not coping. So, you know, I felt numb. It was so hurtful that I didn't really know what to feel or how to feel. Like, if I shut down in that relationship, once again, we were living together, so he stayed there for a little while. But it was never the same. Like, you know, and it's not even from a sense of that I thought less of him or anything like that. It was just, what are we doing? Like, there's nothing here for me. Like, because I'm a woman. So if you're not attracted to me, then, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we really doing? You know? But my heart goes out to anybody who has dealt with the situation like this. How did you deal with it? How did you cope? This will be my first time publicly speaking out about this situation. And also that brings me to my PTS punchlines. PTS punchlines. This is My Man Had a Man. PTS Diaries. So, yeah. It still affects relationships. I just feel like I have not been able to completely trust people or men, and you know, I have like just kind of stepped away from men, really. So, you know, I still hope that he is doing well. I hope that Candy is doing well. I hope that she is getting the love that she needs. Because she also offered to connect me with other women that were in this situation. Like, oh, there's some other girls that you can talk to. And, you know, I told them about their boyfriend. Like, I was not about to do that. We were not going to make this a AA meeting. Like, no, we're not going to convene about our men liking men or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just not about to do that. So, thank you. No, thank you. But it feels good to get this story out. If you guys have any questions about this, if you guys, you know, want to come on and share your experiences with anything like this, because DL guys are on the rampage, and this was a relatively quote unquote good story, because there are a lot of ways that this can end in very scary ways. Like I said earlier, DL men will die about their sexuality. And then that was also another thing that came up in conversation. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like the reason why, because the relationship kind of continued for a little bit after that, but only because, honestly, like out of sympathy, because I feel like he kind of like fell into a depression after that. And, you know, I was still trying to be there for him and not knowing what I needed to heal in that situation. So, you know, and also that's a form of trauma as well. And it can be known as secondhand trauma or compassion fatigue. You know what I'm saying? When you're calling yourself being there for somebody, and then you're also absorbing some of their hurt and their trauma. You know what I'm saying? And it weighs us down. Just being there for people can be traumatic, you know? So that's it for this episode. This has been My Man Had a Man, PTSDiaries. Thank you. Also, it's Kiana. Every Monday night, you can catch me on Voices Behind the Pen. It is a call-in radio show for poets. It's a call-in open mic, and I have a Mental Health Monday segment every Monday. It is from 8 to 9 Central Standard Time, and my Mental Health Monday segment is at 8:30. Okay, so come and check your girl out. You can listen just as a listener, or you can call in and share your pieces. Okay, thank you.